I want you to know that every time I start this podcast, I always go through like 7 weird versions of like, hi, hey, hi. I don't know how to start a podcast. Who does? Because podcasts are not a natural thing. It's not like, sleeping or something. See? This is a bad start, but it's okay. Welcome to the Eve Ellen Bogan Show. I am Eve Ellen Bogan. I have been missing. Not really. Oop, I forgot that I get distracted by my screen. Yeah, I've been missing. I've been not here. I went to the UK months ago. I'm in a place where I cannot remember. I keep going, what month is it now? I just thought it's August. No, it's June. Yeah, it's June. And I don't remember when I went to the UK. I think it was end of March, early April. Does that sound right? It's all there on YouTube. You can see when I put up the last episode, or on Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts, really wherever you get your podcasts. It has that information. But I haven't looked at it. I have been, I guess, very busy, but also just like, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like do you have the thing where you kind of feel like you black out for like months? Like you're there, but then you're like, oh, I guess I just ignored so many things for so long. I think I just, like it doesn't feel like it's been months since I podcasted. It feels like, oh yeah, I'll get right back to that. I have a couple episodes I never put out that I recorded with other people. I don't know. I have a bunch of people who've commented, who've left me really nice messages. And it actually does mean a lot to me. And so that is why, it's not like I had to come back to it because I'd given up. I didn't give up. I just got distracted. I've been to many different states since then. I went to Canada. I'm currently on a long, endless road trip. I have spent money. I've made money. I bought these pants that I'm wearing. I got them the other day at Marshall's. I like them because I've gained weight and they have an elastic waist. And so on my little road trip, I can wear my fat pants and feel fine. And I got to this motel, this Super 8 in northern Florida. I keep hearing, there's a lot of kids staying here. But kids being like menacing at night sounds like you are somewhere in South America and you're about to be like kidnapped by like a cartel or something. It just sounds like just footsteps. And then before, some kids knocked on my door and then they knocked again harder, and then I opened the door and they had run. I think it was actually a mistake, but I still went out there and was very much the adult that I am and said, hey, you. Not the adult, the crotchety old woman. I said, hey, are you with the kids? And they were like, I don't know. And I'm like, listen, you tell your little friends, if they're going to knock on my door and run away, we're going to have problems. And then I saw a parent and I was like, are you with these guys? You fucking, I was like friendly and sane. But anyway, my point was I checked into this motel in Florida. It's actually pretty decent. I looked it up because I was at a motel the other day that was so bad that I'm pretty sure it's like used for sex trafficking. I'll get back to that later. So I've gotten a little bit wiser about where I stay. And so I walked into the motel. It is not a hotel. It's a motel. And I came in here and I went to the bathroom and I washed my hands at the sink and I leaned against the sink and I got some water on it, whatever. And instantly my favorite fat pants had bleach stains on them because somebody had left bleach on the thing. Very different from the motel where I felt that women were being trafficked. I don't think they've ever bleached those rooms. I did not take off my shoes in the room. I mean, I did, and then I went, oh, I need to keep my sandals on. I can't touch this carpet. But yeah, that room no one's ever bleached that room. This room, they've bleached it and they forgot to wipe it up. I made a stink, and the manager was very nice. I mean, at first she didn't believe me, and then she came and looked, and I didn't notice till later that it smells a lot like bleach. So she kind of was like, because she was like, we don't use bleach. And I was like, you use bleach. You definitely, this is bleach, So she gave me $30. They're from Marshall's, She goes, I don't think I can give you enough to pay for your pants, because the room was only $90. And I'm like, these are not expensive pants. I don't know if you've looked me up and down, but I don't buy expensive clothing. The only expensive stuff I have is stuff that's been given to me for free for being a con. This sweatshirt is very expensive. I earned it with my jokes, with making people laugh. So it was a gift. But what is the point I was making before? I was saying I've been in all these places. Yeah, basically after the UK, I came back. I don't remember I blacked out for a long time. I turned 42. I was on tour with James McCann. I met up with him in Toronto, Canada. I have a passport, no big deal. I know that you know that. I went to England before that, whatever. We went to Toronto, New York, Boston, Pittsburgh. In Boston, we almost died. Just me and James on my birthday, actually. Yes, it was Boston. My birthday was Friday, I believe, May 22nd. We took an Uber to Boston Logan. It was so close. It was like an 8-minute drive. We got a man, very sweet, very damaged young man from Senegal, who I've never seen anybody drive so badly. It wasn't just that you don't need to speak English to drive. A lot of people don't speak English and they drive fine. He could not understand us, but also he couldn't understand the Uber app. And I think he might have been severely dyslexic, and I think he might have had a lot of trauma, because he just kept missing very simple things. And so we started doing circles of the airport, and then we were like, to the right, and then he was kind of right. He needed to get farther over, and so instead he goes, okay, and he got left, or he said yes, and he got left, and we were like, right, to the right. But the worst was when he missed a turn, and you know how the airport is one way and it's like a big ring, and he missed a turn, or he thought he missed a turn, but it wasn't the turn, and he backed up he tried to back up on the airport lane to turn down what was actually a one-way street in the wrong direction. And we had to scream and be like, no, just life flashing before our eyes, cars everywhere. And that was my birthday. That was 42. And then we flew to Pittsburgh, and we didn't get to do anything for my birthday. I think James took me somewhere in the airport to get it was the best of the airport delicacies, but it was like a terrible fish sandwich. And then we rented a car. We drove to Steubenville, Ohio, because that's where James wanted to stay. That's where he lived when he first got to the U.S. And then we had to drive back into Pittsburgh, and I got really sad on the drive back. I was like, I know that we're working, but I'm just kind of sad. It's my birthday and we didn't get to do anything. And he was like, I know, we'll do something tomorrow or something. And we didn't, but it's okay. He got me a book. But I got to the Improv in Pittsburgh, and they had seen on social media, on Instagram, a little app called Instagram, that it was my birthday, and they had a bunch of cupcakes that they had put out for me and a little sign that said Happy Birthday Eve. And I nearly cried. I mean, I was so happy. And that's stuff that I don't do. I'm trying to be better about remembering to do those things, because that kind of stuff can make a person not kill themselves. You know what I mean? I was not going to kill myself, but if I were planning it, that I think would have pulled me back from the edge. So yeah, we did Steubenville, and then from there we went to Florida, And then from Florida, I stayed at the beach. Then we did Tampa. Then we went to Denver and did a taping. Once I get that footage, I will put it out on YouTube as a little mini special. I'm pretty pumped about how it went, actually. And then after Denver, went to San Francisco, met up with other comic friends there, Patrick Ely and Ruby Setnick. Did Cobb's Comedy Club, which was so much fun, and then did like a private show. And then I went back to Austin. James went back to Australia. I then spent, I don't know, a week in Austin and felt like, whew, I'm back. And then I left to drive to Nashville, Tennessee, because I'm moving there. So I had to go find an apartment, which I did. I found one. I'm still waiting for them to like do the credit check and all that stuff. But I think that the apartment is good. I like it. And it's really close to Zany's Comedy Club. And I did spots at Zany's. And then I drove from there to Atlanta. I don't know why I drove out here. I don't know. But yeah, I was in Atlanta for a few days, and now I'm in northern Florida, and tomorrow I'm going to Orlando. I'm supposed to headline. I don't think we've sold like any tickets. I don't know if I'll have to cancel the show or maybe just do the show to like literally 5 people. And then I have a couple of Don't Tell headlines set up for the weekend, and then I'll drive back to Austin and probably through New Orleans for a couple days. And then I get back and I have like 10 days. And then I move out of my apartment. I'm going to ship all my stuff to Nashville. And I'm going to drive my fucking car back. my little Prius, she's been holding up well. 40 miles to the gallon, no big deal. What gas crisis? And I am exhausted. Yeah, like on the first night, people do like 7 hours of driving, and I don't do that. I'm a 42-year-old woman, if you remember from my earlier story. And I don't have it in me anymore to drive for like 8 hours straight. I used to be able to do that. I can't. So the first night, I think I did drive 6 hours. I got to Texarkana. I thought, that'll be cute. I'm pretty sure there's like an REM album named Texarkana, or like a song. And I was like, Texarkana, like REM. Texarkana is a town on the border of Texas and Arkansas. The reason it was my goal on that first day was because I wanted to get out of Texas. I hate Texas. I fucking hate Texas so much. I've lived in Texas for 2 years. It has weathered me. And so I was like, I'll make it to Arkansas, glorious Arkansas. I'm being sarcastic, but the truth is it's actually really beautiful in Arkansas. But Texarkana is how I imagine parts of Ukraine will look in 30 years, like parts that are like so badly damaged that people just decide like it's better to just leave it and let the land take over. It's like the downtown area clearly at one time was thriving, and now I don't know, industry has changed. I'm sure with the railway, it was like an important place. I mean, I kind of think that like everything probably goes back to like NAFTA, right? That's like, I know so little about it, but I know that like Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, which allowed American, manufacturing jobs to go overseas. And then after that happened, like a lot of things dried up. A lot of industries. And so I'm guessing that plus just, the 20th century ending. Texarkana looks like it was glorious in 1958. Had a really beautiful, very regal train station that now, it's kind of like if you've ever seen Grey Gardens, it was like those two, a mother and daughter, and like they're hoarders, and they had once lived in this like beautiful mansion, but the whole place had just totally fallen apart. And they were just living in one room, so they had this huge house and with holes in the roof and raccoons and everything, and then they lived in their bedroom, and it was insane. That's the Texarkana train station, where it's like this beautiful big building that's totally boarded up and like chained off, and then probably rocks, but maybe guns. It's like the windows are all kind of like shot out and the whole place is like shut down. And then you have to the side, like the west wing, but like it's like a room, and it says all Amtrak passengers here. And they have to sit in a sad room, probably with someone masturbating in the corner. And because that's like how train stations are, I feel. And yeah, a train still goes through there, but it's not like the good old days. It was a bleak place. You know, it's very strange I was on tour with James, and everything was selling out. And we had like a hotel or Airbnb kind of budget, and it was nice. You know, it wasn't like thousands or anything like that, but we stayed in nice places. There are a couple of dud places, but like for the most part, it was like a very comfortable tour. We're getting paid, we're getting free food from the club, people took us out for meals. And then I'm on my tour, which is like a little different. It's like the show I'm doing in Orlando tomorrow night is a 48-seater. I don't think that I think the chick who runs the club, it's her club. She's very sweet. I think she's a comic who probably just like took on a huge project and doesn't know what to do with it yet. I hope she figures it out because it's a very sweet thing she's doing. But I believe we've sold 3 tickets, and I think that there are 3 people that I know who bought it to support me. And I don't think there's any advertising or promotion at all. So I don't think that's like, okay, that's how that is. It's not like I'm getting a flat rate. It's always going to be like a share of the tickets, which won't be much, like no matter what. And then, you know, in Texarkana, I was like, you know, when I'm out here on the road, I'm not going to spend too much, you know. I mean, I have since discovered that you can use ChatGPT, or I use Google Gemini. I know that it's like burning down a whole forest and ruining a family's life and whatever. Like they're making like child soldiers or whatever by using AI. I'm sure it's true. I know it's true. And yet it's actually really helpful. Google Gemini, I ask it, I figured out midway through that I could do this. Maybe it was in Texarkana. I think the reason, I figured this out in Texarkana because it was the middle of the night and I was in this motel and I started Googling stuff about sex trafficking. Again, I'll get back to that in a second. But you can use Gemini and be like, I am in this place. I did it yesterday. I was like, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm driving to Orlando. I want to stop somewhere overnight. I want to make it more than halfway. Someplace cute in Florida that has like some beautiful stuff I can see. Nothing too expensive. Decent selection of hotels or motels. And then it's like, you should stop in. And it gave me a couple of choices. And there you go. And then it told me, asked it like, is there anything I should see? I mean, it chose my dinner place for me, and you know, which I know I could have done on Google, but it was strangely a really good, very weird. It was a very weird restaurant. They had literally 3 menus, and they're like, we have 3 menus from 3 kitchens, and it's like, this seems like a very poor choice here. This seems like something I would do, because I have ADHD and I don't know how to decide. And so I'd go, let's have all 3. And that's why you have somebody who goes, no, we're going to choose 1 menu. But they had 3. And you know what? The food was killer. Anyway, back to the sex trafficking thing. I didn't think about it. I just thought like, I could stay at any motel. I didn't know, like I've been in like Asia. I've been around the world. You know, I've been backpacking alone in foreign countries. I didn't know that there were motels as bad as what I stayed in Texarkana in this country. I thought it was just in India. I mean, there was a place in India that I stayed in, a place called Gorakhpur, which is the worst city in the world. I'm telling you, the worst city in a country that's not like that. The worst city in a country that has a functioning government. Okay, let's say that. Like, yes, like, and in countries that are like, under warlord rule, fine. They have like worse accommodation than Gorakhpur. But Gorakhpur is the last train town before Nepal. You take the train north, or like, I forget, it's like northeast-ish, kind of. Not really. It's like central north. And then you get off the train, and then you take a bus to the border of Nepal, and then you get out and you walk across the border, and then whatever. And then good luck, now you're in Nepal, which is actually a lot easier than India. But I was coming back from Nepal into India. I thought I was going to miss my connection. Oh, and the bus drivers in Nepal, they don't just drive you to the border in Kathmandu, they circle to pick up more passengers. But they're like, it's not like a bus route, like, oh yeah, we stop here and we stop here. They're like going around the city, like yelling, like, anyone need a ride? Like, to India. And so we were like going in circles for so long. And I was like, I'm going to miss my fucking, like my bus that I was meant to catch to go back to India. You don't realize in those moments that like it's all a system. You're not missing shit. This isn't the train. Therefore, like everything is like, people want to make money. So they're going to make sure that they get you at the border, whatever. But I was freaking out. So I had this miserable ride back to India. I remember that like I was anxious about the time. We stopped somewhere so I could pee, and then I went into the bathroom, which was like this big outhouse, but for whatever reason, and it was like, God, it was so bad. It was like a real outhouse, like a real bathroom with like stalls, but they had squat toilets. But something had happened. I don't understand. And the floor was tilted, and none of the toilets worked anymore. And so because the floor was tilted, everyone had been pissing in a giant collective puddle, like a little lake. I mean, it was really like a little pond of piss that had evaporated and then been reformed and whatever. So it was like a green pool of piss. And there was like the little doorway to each stall was like elevated. And so I had no choice. I stood on it and I pissed into a giant lake of piss. Point is, I came back into India, into Gorakhpur. I was like, I just made it. Oh, I remember I got into a car accident. Everything was horrible. Like, I met these people in the bus and they were like, let's look for a place together. We got in this rickshaw. The guy was drunk. He got us into an accident. I was so mad at him because I knew he was drunk, but he wouldn't admit it. And then he like literally fell asleep while driving. So I started hitting him, because you can kind of do that in India when you're angry at somebody, which like sounds crazy, but yeah, it is crazy. And anyway, everybody like left me. They were like, you're on your own. You're too nuts for us. I ended up at this fucking motel across from the train station. The worst motel I'd ever stayed in until this place in Texarkana. And I was so happy. I was like, all right, I just have one night, and then tomorrow I'm catching my train back down south. And then I looked at my ticket and I realized I was a day early. And so, Gorakhpur. I never actually touched a single thing in the room. I had like sheets that I traveled with. So I spread a sheet over the bed because it looked like someone, the bed didn't look bad, but you just don't know. I never took my sandals off. I never touched a surface in the whole room. But yeah, I wish I'd had that in Texarkana. I wish I'd been prepared. I booked a $63 motel called, God, I don't remember. I'll put a picture of the welcome mat. I knew things were off when I saw the welcome mat. I'd never seen anything so dirty in my whole life. And, I'd never seen something so dirty in an American establishment that takes your money. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't hang out at like methadone clinics. That's not my thing. I don't hang out at whorehouses. So I've never seen anything that filthy in this country unless it was like I don't own anything that crusty. No, it's not, an abandoned house maybe somewhere. I don't know. So I walked in and I was like, oh, but I'd already paid online. And I think you really get a sense that like things are off. I saw a guy with a dog. That's not the red flag. He looked kind of fucked up. That's, sometimes that happens. But the dog looked fucked up. Like the dog looked like the dog was trying to get sober or something. Like the dog, like there was something crusty and weird about the dog. And I was like, oh, that's like a bad sign when the dog looks like, it's seen, not even like it's seen shit, like it's coming off of shit. And so then I go in, I see the rug, and then I see the check-in, and it's like, he's like behind like a plastic window. Like, and I was like, oh, what is he getting robbed and stuff? And so I check in, he gives me my thing, I go up, and I was like, God, this feels so grim in this room. It stank. The air conditioner, I could tell immediately there was mold. I'm sure there was mold. The whole next day, my whole face was swollen. The air conditioner was like, it was like spitting, it was humid. The toilet, like you could just see that there was like grime under the rim of the bowl. Like, and I slept so poorly. I left the window open a crack. That was all I could do. But I was like, I don't want to die of carbon monoxide poisoning in here. It was like that kind of feeling. But I was like, God, what a weird place. Like, who's staying here? And this always happens to me where like when something is like very apparent, but it's like so foreign to me, I don't always like clock it right away. But I fell asleep and I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I went, oh, this is where women are taken when they're like sex trafficked. And I I pulled out Gemini and I was like, hey, Google, I'm in this like really weird motel along I-35 in Texarkana. Like it's literally right off the highway. I didn't realize it was like you get off and you're there, and it was like grim from the outside. And I was like, the vibes are weird, and you can talk to AI like it gets you. You're like, the vibes are off, Gemini. And I said, I feel like this is the kind of place that has like trafficking. I didn't say sex or drug or what, I just said trafficking. And then it was like, your instincts are spot on. That's like so bad when you're just like, am I in like a sex trafficking dungeon place? And it's like, yeah, you're so smart. And it said, the I-35 corridor. I feel like corridor, I was thinking about writing this for a joke. Corridor is only really used to describe, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like a hallway, but used in the context of this, it's like used to describe the path of a tornado, or like it means like along the highway, but it really like they're using it to be like, it's the path of like drugs or prostitution. Like it's always a bad thing. A corridor is not a good thing. The word corridor, I feel like it's a cursed word. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I think I'm right. But it was like the I-35 corridor is infamous or whatever. Like police are, the police police it, whatever, monitor it. Because of its location, there's a lot of drug and sex trafficking coming from Mexico and whatever. And it said that like women are brought either to these places to like hide them as they're being trafficked, or they keep them there and run the rooms like they're a brothel. And, so like in a motel like this one, I don't think that it's like open. I don't think that it's like fine with the motel. But those kinds of places, they'll just like have a woman or two in a room, bring guys there to, I was going to say fuck them, but like rape them, and drug them up probably. And then they just put them back in the van and keep going. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, that's what the vibe is. It's a rape vibe, like, because I think that there is a rape vibe. I mean, I felt it pretty strongly in that room, because who the fuck is staying in that room? I mean, I don't know how I ended up there. Like, you think you're like this savvy, like, yeah, I know, I've been all over the world. And then you're like, this is strange. Like, really bad. So the only good thing, and I wrote it in my journal, I was like, the only good thing about this whole fucking place, in the morning, face swollen, I was like, from mold, because I get like, if something's mold, I'll just get like sneezy, my face itches, I get like a weird lung, like kind of a burning thing, and then it goes away after like a day. It's just like inflammation, and so I was like, I gotta get a fucking coffee, but I was still under the illusion of or the impression that maybe Texarkana's cute. I should go into town, because I hadn't been into town. And I started driving, and I was like, wow, the only places that are not they don't look like they were left over in the rubble are the lawyer's office and the bail bond office. Those were in beautiful stone buildings because they're the only ones making any money. Everything else was boarded up, weeds growing through the parking lot, whatever. The downtown area is historic Texarkana, and it's just the Zombieland vibe, it did look like there was a war and the people of this town lost, but someone boarded up the windows, and I guess they pick up the trash, and that's kind of it. But I found this one used bookstore called The Stained Page, I believe. I left a Google review. I left a very nice Google review. It was a lot of religious books, Christian books, but some classics. I got a couple books just to support them. They are the only thing in that area. I park my car next to the shot out train station, and then there's just a doorway on the street that's empty, but there's a lot of cars there because there's a courthouse somewhere in the area. And it was they had beautiful little plants, they had nice places to sit, there was an older couple, and they had a few different options, but they had you could buy a French press coffee, so they give you the whole, and they had good beans. And man, when you kind of narrowly escape, I don't even know if I narrowly escaped. Maybe I was fine with the sex, but when you visit a sex trafficking dungeon after driving for however long, and meanwhile the day before I pretty much had a panic attack trying to get out of Austin. I was like, I can't even pack the car. I don't know what to bring. I brought way too much stuff, but I just it's so hard to just pack up, and I was like, I'm gonna be gone for 2-3 weeks. What do I do? I water all the plants. If half my fucking plants are gonna be dead by the time I get back. I just feel it. When I was away with James, I really was my plants. This trip, I'm they're on their own, I can't worry about the plants anymore. I'm going to give most of them away or sell them before I go to Nashville. But when you're in hell and you find good coffee with heavy cream, I asked them and they had heavy cream, and air conditioning, and a place to sit with your journal. It was a really beautiful moment. And the guy was I told him, I was I'm very picky. This is really good coffee. I love this place. Thank you so much. And he was like, really? He was so happy. Yeah? Come back. And I was I wanted to be I'll never come here again. I'll never, never. But then again, I'm I don't know. There's a chance I might stop in fucking Texarkana. I'll never stay in that motel again, but I might stop there on my way driving back to Nashville in a few weeks, because it is a midway point. It wasn't even midway, because then I stopped in Memphis the following day. But yeah, I made it through. I did Texarkana, then I stopped in Memphis for a night. That was later the same day that I left Texarkana. I brought a cooler with me, and I was I'll have a cooler with ice, and I'll keep my groceries with me as I drive, and I can cook on the road. And it's what are you thinking? I bought a jar of horseradish in Memphis because I bought a steak. I was staying in an Airbnb. I like stayed in someone's house, but it was a beautiful house. But I made a steak and I was like, I really want like a horseradish sauce. Like, first of all, I never make a horseradish sauce. I've never done that before. I have horseradish at home, but like I'll go through eras, like seasons of horseradish, but like I don't need, but I was like, why did I splurge on a jar of high-end horseradish? I think it's because I was just like, I wanted something to feel normal, but like I spent like $70 on groceries in Memphis, a steak, olive oil, like heavy cream. I just bought a bunch of stuff. I think I did probably eat most of it. Steak was great. Avocados. Oh, it was a good meal. And then, and I had to throw out a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I threw out the horseradish this morning, actually, in Atlanta. And, yeah, when I got to Nashville, oh yeah, I stayed in an Airbnb of a very controlling woman. I hope she doesn't ever find this podcast. She was very nice, but she went in my room after I checked in without asking. She said that, I feel bad now, I feel like she's listening, but she had said, everything's ready except for the one comforter. And I was like, I'm going to take a nap. And she was like, why don't you use this blanket? And then later I'll give you the big comforter once it's dry. And I was like, perfect. And then I went out. And so then she messaged me at like midnight and was like, hey, I put the comforter in your room, but it's like a locked apartment. So she'd gone in. She just didn't ask. And it made me so angry. And then she was very sweet, but like it just really ruined it for me. So I didn't feel very restful at her house. I felt like very watched, and there were all these, I just think like if you are running an Airbnb and you have little signs on everything, turn on the fan. Like, what was the last place? The place I stayed at in Florida. It was like, don't use this after, but like if you have all these different signs in all these places, you're not chill. And you probably shouldn't have an Airbnb. Like, I get it, but just say it once or twice and accept that you're not there to tell people exactly what to do. And they're probably going to do things you don't want them to do. And that's just how it is. That's just what happens. But like when there's signs on everything, and you shouldn't wear shoes in the house, and keep the lights off. Don't put when you go out. Oh yeah, she messaged me. I put the blanket on your bed. Also, please don't turn off the air conditioning, because I had turned it off. And I was like, what the hell? Get out of my. I had been to the gym. I stripped down all my gym stuff, and I just left it in a pile, my underwear. And I'm like, I didn't know you were gonna be in the room. And I left a big shit in my underwear. No, I didn't leave a shit in my underwear. Stop it. But you know what I'm talking about. You just don't want to leave your dirty stuff around if someone's going to come in your room. Anyway, boring. But that was Nashville. And then in Atlanta, I got to my friend's house. This is just a fun thing. And then I'll end this. But it's a fun thing. It wasn't really a fun thing in the moment. But basically, I got to my friend's house. Friend from college. Hadn't seen him or his wife in like 15 years. The wife didn't remember me. Fine. She didn't go to school with us. They met, at Jewish summer camp. Love it. Jews. Anyway, they weren't home. Their house was gorgeous. The babysitter was there and let me in. And I was staying in the basement. I had like a whole floor to myself. I was like, perfect. It's great. And I'll pull the car down and I'll bring the stuff in through the garage. It'll be easier. And I opened the thing and I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff. Not like crazy person stuff, but there's like a lot of different things in different areas. But, I'll just snake through with my stuff. So I was like pulling a bunch of my shit in through the garage. And I was going, oh, God, I'm so happy that I'm in this nice house. And right at that moment, it's like smash something. I bumped something, I guess. I don't even know how it happened. And it fell and smashed in the garage. And I was like, no, like just so sad. And they weren't even home yet. And I was like, fuck. So I looked and it was like a little cloth bag. And I opened it up. And there was like what looked like a broken oversized jar or something. It looked like maybe someone had just saved it to recycle it and for whatever reason put it in the bag and they'd forgotten about it. And it just totally unimportant. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God I didn't destroy something important. And so I closed up the garage, whatever. I went upstairs and they had just come home. And I was like, hi, hey. And they're like, hey, literally the first thing they say, they go, did you just put your car in the garage? I said, no, I just put my stuff through there. And they were like, oh, just be really careful because she's, the wife, she's an antiques dealer and she keeps all of her inventory in the garage. And I was like, no, like, no, why? No. And I was like, I just broke something. And they were like, and I was like, no, I really did just like smash something. I don't think it was anything important. Oh, and it was part of her inventory. The little bag that it was in had a number on it, but it didn't look familiar to her because it was so fucking smashed up. Sorry. But my friend was like, I've broken things. We have a kid. He's broken things. Her employees have broken things. It's okay. But what an entrance, what an entrance. But anyway, yeah, I left there and I came here to the Super 8 and I bleached my fucking pants. So it's like everything's weird. I think it's me. It must be me and my little karma. It's like I have like minor bad juju, but it's nothing like major. Like even tonight at dinner at that place with the 3 menus, I ordered a steak and it was supposed to be a sirloin. And it said on the menu that it had excellent marbling. Well, if you are a steak aficionado like me, you know that marbling means that it has fat. And I know what a fucking sirloin looks like. And I was like, great. I love a fatty cut of meat. Don't give me any of that lean shit. Give me that fatty fucking beef. And so I got my 2 sides with it, and the food was very good. And then out comes a filet mignon. And I was like, which is a very small, kind of fist-sized. I mean, it was bigger than a filet mignon. It was thicker, but it was like fat-free, not a shred of fat in there. And I was like, I don't think this is the cut. And she was like, yeah, it is. This is our style. I'm like, and so then I tried to eat it. And the truth is it was really good quality, but it was just not what I wanted. And so because I'm Jewish, I was so unhappy, but I was trying not to be a miserable bit. And then she was like, I can just swap it out for you. So she gave me a Wagyu burger. Oh, I forgot. Okay, this is the last story. And then I'll end this. But I was leaving Nashville from that weird controlling woman's house. I feel bad. She wasn't weird. She was nice. She was going through a lot. She just violated my boundaries. And I don't know her well enough to tell her that. And so I have not left her a review on Airbnb, and I'm not going to. And she left me one, and there's a whole guilt thing going on in my mind. But if you're watching this and you're her, you're a nice person, you just shouldn't be going into people's rooms without asking explicitly, even if you think it's fine. But that morning I went, as I was leaving to drive to Atlanta, I went to the little place up the street, the Mexican Cantina, for breakfast because it had really good fucking reviews, because nobody knows what good food is. We live in a weird hellscape where people just think that, like, I don't know what they think, that why are people fooled so easily about food? Anyway, so I go to the place, I sit at the bar. It was Father's Day. The bartender's really young. He's like 25, kind of like a bro looking dude. And I order a cortado. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, okay, what would you like for breakfast? After so long. Oh no, he said to me like a few minutes in, you want chips and salsa? I was like, sure. And then a minute later, he goes, okay, what would you like to order? and then I'll put once I take your order, I'll put your coffee in. And I was like, you didn't put my coffee in? Like, like 10, what? Like, I'm dying over here. You didn't put my fucking coffee in? What the fuck? But I was like, okay, you got to put that coffee in. That's really important. You should have done that before. I didn't say. And there was a guy sitting next to me who was very friendly, an older guy. He's like 5 years older than me, probably. And so then the chips and salsa come out, and it's like a big plate. A lot of chips, a lot of salsa. And I said, wait, these are free, right? They come with the meal? And he was like, the guy goes, no, it's an order. And I was like, I didn't want to order it. You offered me chips and salsa. It's a Mexican place. Everybody gives them out for free. I thought that, and he was like, oh, so, and then the guy at the bar was like, no, I'll take care of it. Just put it on my bill. And I was like, oh, that's nice. But I wanted to say to him, you shouldn't have to fucking fix this dumb fucking kid's mistakes, I didn't say that. I was trying to be like, I'm getting my period. Has that come through at all in this? I'm getting my period. Then the coffee comes out, and it was not a cortado. Cortado is tiny. It's like a small half espresso, half milk. It's like a double shot, essentially. It's very small. And he brings me this massive cup, and I was like, this is not a cortado. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And he goes back to the barista. And then he comes back and he goes, I asked them, it is. And I said, no, it's not. That's not the right drink. And he was like, well, the barista said. And I was like, and there's like a separate coffee bar. And I was like, he goes, you can go talk to him if you want, which I find, I'm like, now you suck, making me do your job, but fine. I go to the front. I talk to him. And I'm like, yeah, I ordered a cortado. He goes, oh, he put in a horchata. So then I go back to the bar and I was like, yeah. He goes, did he sort it out? Like, as if like I made a mistake or that guy made a mistake. And it's like, I was like, yeah, that's not what I ordered. It's not a horchata. It's a cortado. And then I start getting shitty. I'm like, you should know the coffee menu. And he was like, okay. And then I'm like, you really should be like, people need their coffee. Like, basically it's like, you're fucking with me at the worst time of day for me. And this guy is next to me still, and I want to look at him and be like, this fucking kid. And it was like awkward. And then I was like, do I just leave? What do I fucking do? I don't know. And then I see the kid talking to this woman, the manager, obviously. And then, then she comes over and she starts talking to the guy next to me at the bar who'd gone quiet. And she was like, oh, it's really sweet that you're here for Father's Day. Sorry that we scheduled him to work. And the guy next to me, the friendly guy who said he'd pay for it, was the idiot's father. And it was Father's Day, and he had come to work to be with his son, and I felt like such a fucking asshole. So, then I ended up talking to him for a while, and we made peace, and then I apologized to the kid as though it was, I think I just felt like, okay, he was incompetent, and he shouldn't, truly incompetent. He shouldn't have that job. He's bad at the job. He doesn't know anything about, like, it's just, this is not a person who should, why are you so bad at being in this position? Like, this is not a crazy thing, waiting tables. I've done it for a long time. There's a lot of dumb people who get the hang of it. Why are you so bad at it? But I still took the heat because it was fucking Father's Day, and I couldn't believe that I was such a fucking bitch to him in front of his father who'd come to his job to be with him. At the same time, I thought, you should get in there and tell him that he's not good at this. Anyway, I don't know. I think I maintain that I was right, but I just felt bad. And I think that's it. I think I am exhausted. I'm going to go to bed. It's like I started this. What time is it now? It is 1:30 a.m. Perfect. So I'm going to go to bed. I love you. I'm so tired. I will do this regularly again. I'm sorry that I have God, it's Thursday now. Time is so weird. I'm sorry that I have dropped the ball on this podcast. I really appreciate everybody who subscribed to it, people who listen. I can't believe that you are real. No, I believe you're real. I don't know. I'm getting my period, okay? And I'm tired and I'm alone and I've been spending so much money and I'm very horny and there's just not that much I can fucking do about it. People, my friends who are married or in relationships, they go, have you masturbated? Yes, I have. I haven't done it. I didn't do it at my friend's house because I felt like that was weird. I don't like to masturbate in my friends' houses because I don't want that between us, that vibe, right? I was in Texarkana. I could feel the trafficking in that room. I don't want to come in their basement, but in this room tonight, I would love to. I'm too tired, but in Orlando tomorrow, probably. So thank you. That's it. Bye.